What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Deacon discovers the real story of Luna. The Beautiful and the Brave reveal Sheila is not being cautious with her words. The Beautiful and Brave will shares his story. Sheila Carter has a tendency to conceal things from her husband, and he is always forgiving of her. But it may not occur this time. Naturally concerned about Luna Nozawa, Sheila calls Lee Finnegan, who is presumably on the other end of the line, to discuss the situation. As Bill protects his house, the Deacon presses Sheila for the truth. One of the must-see scenes in The Bold and the Beautiful is when Deacon demands that Sheila tell him the truth. Bill tries to patch things up with Katie and organizes his home in the meantime. Past decisions explode into the conflicts of today, causing new chaos throughout Los Angeles. Relationships of love and loyalty are strained in ways the families never could have predicted when long-hidden facts are revealed. What taken place formerly staying at B&B? Sheila was aware that Lee had prevented Luna's death. However, Deacon was never informed of such knowledge. However, it appears that Deacon has discovered that Sheila has been keeping something from him. And it might be something significant, he believes. Bill, meantime, made an effort to persuade Luna to get an abortion. Will was not consulted to find out his thoughts about Luna's child. While Bill was interacting with Luna, Katie attempted to counsel Will to conceal the specifics of what transpired with Luna. Will refused to lie to Elektra, though, and what he told her destroyed her heart. Will Katie and Bill seek retribution? What to watch next is here. Deacon insists that Sheila tell the entire Luna story. In an effort to patch things up with Katie, Bill locks up his house. Deacon Sharp hears what Lee and Sheila say about the Luna problem and is shocked by what he hears. Sheila has been concealing yet another secret about her insane granddaughter, and she is aware that Luna is still alive. How was this possible? Deacon asks Sheila to give an explanation. Sheila understands that since everything is going to be made public regardless, she is at this point powerless. Is Sheila telling Deacon that she was certain Luna had to be at Will Spencer's party and that she tried her hardest to prevent the madman from doing something insane? Sheila tried so hard, but she couldn't. Nevertheless, she attempts to convey to Deacon that she wants the best for Luna, but he doesn't want to hear it. It is unacceptable to Deacon, and most ordinary people, that Luna killed his two closest pals. Remy's recent romance. Do Deke and his new boyfriend, Remy Price, worry about Luna the way Deacon and Sheila worry about them? Doesn't Deke sound way too much like Deacon? Deke insists that Remy avoid Luna just as much as Deacon does with Sheila. This girl is not someone he wants in their lives, and he insists Remy never see her again. What else is there to know about Luna, and why does Deke feel so strongly that she should be away from him and Remy? Will Remy comply with his boyfriend's requests since he is aware that he and Deke are getting along well? Maybe he'll ask Deke why he has such strong feelings for a lady he hasn't even met yet. Even by Sheila Carter's standards, there was something different in the way she kept avoiding his questions about Luna Nozawa, a girl whose name had suddenly come to hover over their lives like a ghostly shadow. Although Deacon wanted to think that his wife was just being dramatic, the cold pit in his stomach told him that the woman he loved was hiding something massive. Deacon Sharp had become accustomed to forgiving Sheila Carter's half-truths, evasions, and manipulations because their marriage unlikely had always operated on a precarious balance of passion, survival, and second chances. Deacon quietly listened from the other room when Sheila made a hushed call to Lee Finnegan, and her voice slipped into that brittle, tremulous tone she always used when she was masking guilt with urgency. What he heard was enough to rattle him, as there were references to Luna being saved, to Lee preventing her death, and to circumstances that contradicted the assumption that Luna had vanished for good. Although he was still unable to piece together the whole puzzle, he realized that Sheila had known more about Luna's fate than she had ever admitted, keeping him in the dark like a fool, and his patience finally broke. Bill Spencer, the eternal tycoon, was dealing with the fallout from his attempt to pressure Luna into getting an abortion. This attempt was motivated more by his desperate need to protect his family name from scandal than by moral outrage, but Will Spencer's brittle honesty clashed with Katie Logan's advice to hide the messy truth of what had happened at the Forrester guest house: the intoxication, the mistaken identity, and the betrayal that broke Elektra Forrester's heart. Will refused, claiming that lying would only make matters worse, so he confessed to Elektra that he had slept with another woman under circumstances too complicated to be believed. This confession broke Elektra's trust and left her heartbroken, placing Katie and Bill on a collision course with Luna as the presumed mastermind behind their son's demise. But as that domestic storm brewed, Deacon's attention was focused on the whispered bits he had heard, and when Sheila returned from her secret call, he confronted her with an intensity that even surprised him, demanding that she stop skirting the truth and tell him everything. In that crucial B&B moment, the room practically vibrated with tension, with Sheila's eyes darting as if calculating whether another lie might still save her. Deacon warned her in a low, dangerous voice that this time, forgiveness might not be waiting on the other side of her deception, because whatever this Luna problem was, it was obviously connected to secrets so raw and dangerous that they could no longer be swept aside, and at the same time, old decisions were blowing up into new conflicts across town. The more Sheila stalled, the more Deacon pressed, until finally, with a shuddering breath, she admitted that Luna was not dead as Deacon had assumed, that Lee had intervened in some decisive way, and that Sheila, bound by twisted loyalty to her granddaughter, had purposefully concealed the truth even as she clung to her marriage. Deacon was horrified and demanded to know how she could possibly think that hiding the existence of a living granddaughter, one implicated in chaos that had destroyed Will's relationship and torn his heart to pieces, was anything but betrayal. Deacon was unable to reconcile the woman who claimed to love him with the woman who had recently admitted that she had harbored knowledge of a girl who had killed his two closest friends in a spiral of violence and manipulation, and his grief and rage intertwined until he could hardly breathe. Despite Sheila's attempts to spin it as maternal protection, she insisted that she only wanted what was best for Luna and that she had feared Deacon's reaction. Another subplot was developing across this emotional battlefield as Deke, a man with a strikingly similar name to Deacon, and his boyfriend Remy Price started fighting over Luna's toxic pull because, at the same time that Deacon was ordering Sheila to get rid of Luna, Deke was telling Remy that she was dangerous, destructive, and a threat to everything they had built together. However, Remy, who was more innocent or perhaps more sympathetic, asked how Deke could have such hatred for a woman he had never even met and whether Deke's strong opinion was based on personal secrets. Back in the Spencer orbit, Bill intensified his protective anger, claiming that Luna would never have a Spencer child and labeling her morally bankrupt. Meanwhile, Katie, caught between maternal defense and righteous outrage, slapped Luna for taking pleasure in watching Elektra suffer. However, Luna, defiant and certain that Will's future was with her, dismissed the objections as the thrashing of those who refused to accept fate, her conviction hardened by the belief that Elektra would be fine while she and Will built a life together, a delusion that only strengthened Katie's conviction that Luna was unstable. And every conversation had the potential to turn into betrayal. As a result, when Deacon finally said that he could not accept Sheila's justification and that he would not excuse the concealment of Luna's survival, Sheila's tears became both a confession and a defense, her voice shaking as she pleaded with him to realize that in her world, Luna's life was more important than any moral calculation. Deacon, torn between anger and heartbreak, wondered if this revelation was the end of his marriage, one that was already strained by Sheila's nature, but might be irreparable now that the true story of Luna had not only been discovered but had also made the irreconcilable gulf between them. The city seemed to hum with the realization that nothing would ever be the same again as the sun set over Los Angeles. This was because all of the characters, including Deacon and Sheila, Bill and Katie, Will and Elektra, and even Deke and Remy, were now at the brink of decisions that would change their lives, their families, and their futures. At the tumultuous center of it all was Luna Nozawa, a girl whose very existence had become a catalyst for truth, destruction, and possibly, if fate permitted, redemption.